It's 1 a.m. Your body is exhausted, but your mind won't stop. You're replaying a conversation from 6 hours ago, analyzing a text message that seemed a little off, rehearsing a conversation that hasn't even happened yet. You're not thinking about anything urgent. You're not solving a real problem. You're just stuck, spinning, again. And somewhere in that spinning, a quiet, exhausted thought creeps in. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. But there are 3 silent habits, hiding in plain sight, that are quietly running your mind without your permission. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Let me show you what I mean. Meet someone we'll call Sarah. Not her real name. But maybe her story feels a little too familiar. Sarah sends a message to a friend. No reply for 3 hours. By hour 2, Sarah has already written an entire story in her head. She's mad at me. Did I say something wrong? Maybe she doesn't want to be friends anymore. By the time her friend replies with a simple, "Sorry, was in a meeting," Sarah has already lived through an entire emotional breakup in her head, alone. Nothing happened, but it felt like everything happened. Sound familiar? This isn't a personality flaw. This isn't you being too sensitive or too much. This is a pattern, and patterns can be interrupted once you know where they're hiding. So let's talk about the first silent habit. Habit number 1, filling silence with fear. Your brain hates uncertainty. It genuinely cannot stand not knowing something. So when there's a gap, a pause, an unanswered question, your mind doesn't just sit in that gap peacefully. It fills it, usually with the worst possible explanation. Not because you're negative, but because your brain thinks it's protecting you. It thinks, if I imagine the worst now, I won't be caught off guard later. But here's the quiet tragedy of it. You end up suffering twice. Once in your imagination, and then again, if it actually happens. Most of the time, it doesn't even happen. Pause for a second. Think about the last time you assumed the worst about someone's silence. Were you right? Or were you just scared? That's habit 1. Now, here's the one that runs even deeper. Habit number 2, confusing overthinking with control. This one is sneaky because it disguises itself as responsibility. You tell yourself, if I think about this enough, I'll figure it out. I'll be ready, I'll protect myself. So you replay the conversation for the 10th time. You rehearse what you'll say tomorrow. You imagine every possible way things could go wrong. It feels productive. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not solving anything. You're just suffering on a loop. Real control looks like action. Overthinking only feels like control. It's your mind's way of trying to hold on to certainty in a world that never guarantees any. And here's the part that hurts a little. The more you overthink something, the more important your brain believes it is. So the anxiety doesn't fade. It grows, feeding itself, convincing you that stopping would be irresponsible. But stopping isn't giving up. Stopping is where peace actually starts. Take a breath here. Ask yourself honestly, has overthinking ever actually prevented something bad from happening? Or has it just made the waiting more painful? Now the third habit, this is the quiet one, the one almost nobody talks about. Habit number 3. Treating your thoughts as facts. When a thought appears in your mind, it feels true, immediate, certain. I always mess things up. They probably think I'm annoying. I'm going to fail at this. These feel like conclusions, but they're not facts. They're just thoughts, uninvited guests passing through. Here's what almost nobody tells you. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness noticing them. A thought is not proof. It's not evidence. It's a mental event, often shaped by fear, past pain, or exhaustion. Not by truth. But when you don't question a thought, you obey it. And obedience to fear-based thoughts is exactly what keeps the overthinking alive. But thinking was never the exit. Thinking is the room you're trapped in. The way out isn't more thinking. It's awareness. It's noticing the thought without becoming it. It's learning to say, that's just a thought, not a truth, and letting it pass. Let's go back to Sarah for a second. Weeks later, Sarah gets a message from that same friend. No reply, for hours again. But this time, she notices the fear rising. She notices the story her mind wants to write. And instead of disappearing into it, she pauses. That's just my mind trying to fill a gap. It's not the truth. I don't need to suffer in advance. She goes on with her day. Message comes hours later. Everything was fine. Her friend was just busy. But this time, Sarah didn't lose hours of peace to a story that was never real. That's the shift. Not silencing your mind completely. Just refusing to follow every thought like it's an order. If you recognized yourself somewhere in this video, I want you to know something important. You are not broken. You are not weak. You just learned 3 silent habits that were never meant to protect you. They built a prison out of your own mind. And the good news is this: habits that were learned can be unlearned. You don't have to fight every thought. You don't have to win every mental argument. You just have to notice. Notice the fear filling the silence. Notice the illusion of control. Notice the thought pretending to be truth. That noticing, that small pause, is where your peace begins to come back. So tonight, if your mind starts spinning again, just whisper to yourself, this is just a thought, not a fact, not a warning, just a thought passing through, and let it pass. Because you were never meant to carry every thought your mind creates. You were only ever meant to notice them and let them go. If this made you feel a little less alone tonight, hit subscribe and stay a while. This is The Unveiled Mind.